In this series, we look at the titans of American fashion, tastemakers whose designs have intrinsically connected us to deeper elements of the American experience. Across the decades, American designers have sought to deliver a unique voice to the world of fashion, bringing their perspective to an ever-evolving nation and shaping the look of a country as it passes through political and social upheaval and onto a digital revolution. American fashion as we know it today stems from the early settlers, colonists from Europe who brought with them the current dress of their native homes. Once prosperity struck the colonies, fashion moved away from practicality towards the decorative, and clothing was used as a means of wealth distinction. These early European influences dampened with the weight of revolution, with patriots calling out for a distinctly American style. Women began making their own materials and wearing homemade clothes, and this was a political statement rather than a reflection of one's ability to buy. In the early 1850s, a mass market of middle-class consumers emerged with industrialization. Brooks Brothers was among the first companies to serve this market, having begun in 1818 as a tailor shop and growing to 78 tailors and 1,500 manufacturing employees by 1857. The mid-19th century gold rush had an even greater effect on the US fashion system. Mr. Levi Strauss realised that gold prospectors would need tents and ordered a special resilient fabric from France to serve this market demand.
California in 1873, miners needed tough pants to withstand the wear and tear of the mine. A Bavarian dry goods salesman named Levi Strauss and a tailor named Jacob Davis were granted a patent to put rivets on pants at points of strain. It was a simple idea for a simple product, the American blue jean, the Levi's 501. In 1915, Strauss partnered with Cone Denim, a fabric mill in North Carolina. The Golden Handshake was a gentleman's agreement to make Levi's denim there forever.
The idea of women wearing trousers caused outrage at the time. They were considered strictly menswear. Some women were even arrested when wearing them. Amelia Bloomer said, "I stood amazed at the furore I had unwittingly caused. Some praised and some blamed, some commented and some ridiculed and condemned." Bloomers became a symbol for the women's rights movement, leading to the Bloomer dress, also called the Freedom dress, and Amelia herself becoming a prominent figure in the US suffragette movement.
Despite the moral pushback, it was a stepping stone for the collective conscience, pushing the needle forward on women's rights and cultural perceptions. By the turn of the 20th century, the 1900s was on the brink of an industrial revolution, with an increase of migrants and urban living. Innovations to women's undergarments allowed for greater freedoms and abilities for dressing unassisted. So women began to invest in fashion at a greater rate, changing their outfits several times a day. But this excess was restrained with the breakout of the First World War. Women stepped up to the war effort by taking over the men's roles, and utility took priority over precedence, with women now able to wear tailored suits for the first time in their history. After the war, women went back to their regular duties and prohibition began, though the youth of the 1920s were less repressed, stepping out in their flabber dresses, glamorous slips that shimmied through their jazz age, and the dance floors of the city's underground nightclubs. This age of romance and sexual freedom was short-lived, as it was followed by a time of rations under the Great Depression and then the breakout of the Second World War, which saw a reduction in materials and a need for ingenuity in homemade clothing. Pants or slacks became a common wardrobe staple, but the idea of femininity came back into fashion as women's roles were propagandized back into the home. In celebration of the post-war, the 1950s was a golden age of couture, and European designers like Dior were once more influencing the current fashion trends of American women. In contrast, a rise in social discontent and rebellion shaped the 1960s experience, in particular for women's liberation. With the introduction of the pill in the late 60s, so began a sexual revolution which would influence the commercial world of lingerie in the public mainstream. In 1977, American businessman Roy Raymond founded one of the first standalone lingerie stores, entitled Victoria's Secret. Based on his own experience, the company was founded to provide a public space where men could comfortably purchase lingerie for the women in their lives. The name was meant to imply a certain dignity of the Victorian era, which masked the unspoken lifestyle surrounding sex and seduction. Yet this message was somehow lost by the decor and the catalogues that followed, which appeared more Victorian brothel than homestead, with the images that were more erotic and tasteful. Nonetheless, the market was open to this new niche, with the business expanding across 6 stores and an extensive sales catalogue. The profitable model attracted the attention of clothing retail tycoon Leslie Wexner, who purchased the business for a cool $1 million. Today, that business is worth over $7.5 billion, with stores around the globe that have expanded into sleepwear, perfumes, and cosmetics. Under Wexner's guidance, Victoria's Secret was redirected to its current vision for a female clientele, empowering women to make their own choices when it comes to underwear. And by the 90s, Victoria's Secret dominated the lingerie market with groundbreaking advertisements and campaigns featuring American supermodels. But the real sweepstake was the introduction of their now annual fashion show, which was aired on primetime national television in 1995. The same year they launched their online business. Today, the Victoria's Secret runway show is a theatrical spectacle, a fantasy extravaganza featuring brand ambassadors, the Victoria's Secret Angels. Made up of who's who in the modelling world, which have included the likes of Helena Christensen, Tyra Banks, Gisele Bündchen, and Heidi Klum. Today, the vision for the brand is one of acceptance, with the 2019 inclusion of their first openly transgender model, Brazilian native Valentina Sampaio, on their famous runway.
You want to know what comes between me and my Calvins? Nothing.
Calvin Klein jeans.
Designer Calvin Klein pioneered this shift towards the mix of celebrity in the fashion world, championing campaigns that were provocative and full of pop culture references that would alter the course of advertising forever.
No, I want to talk to Calvin. You can't. Let me talk to Calvin. Wait a minute. I just want to talk to Calvin.
Kramer?
Oh, Tia, hi.
Who are you?
I'm here to talk about the ocean.
Rising from the Bronx in New York, Calvin Klein and his business partner launched a line of tailored coats and sportswear in the late 1960s. Now, 10 years on, it was commanding millions of revenue for the sale of Klein's in-demand minimalist style. But it wasn't until the 1980s that his rise of signature denim, fragrances and underwear catapulted his name into American pop culture legend. His sensual style was credited to the numerous luminaries hired under Klein's direction for the vision for the brand. These included celebrity ambassadors from a young Kate Moss and Brooke Shields to supermodel Christy Turlington and even actor Mark Wahlberg, all sporting skimpy denim and CK underwear in the promotion of youth, sex, and the thin waif look in women, to the beefcake male models that became the industry sensation throughout the 1990s and beyond.
Shouts goes out to my man Calvin Klein, good looking out for the drawers. Not saying I would do another Fruit of the Loom commercial or nothing like that, cause they don't make the hype shorts. These are the 90s, man. They just fit good and they hold me snug. So if I'm about to go get some skins, I'm not gonna put on like no silk underwear.
Klein's minimalism was a step back to something raw and primitive that balanced out the political statements of the 60s fashion. The blowback from the Vietnam War saw a rise in individual style, with hippies, conservatives, politicos and mod squads, all defining their voice through their fashion choices. Whereas London had Vivienne Westwood, America had its own queen of punk, thanks to the provocative fashion from the mind of Connecticut-born designer Betsy Johnson. She represented the new wave of thought that took the free and the rebellious spirit of the 60s and 70s youth and gave it a voice through fashion and artistic expression. Alongside Brits mod designer Mary Quant and the father of postmodernism Andy Warhol, Johnson pioneered the youthquake movement of the 1960s. Her hippies aesthetic and recycled materials were sought after staples at the New York clothing boutique Paraphernalia. landing her a position as a creative director for Alley Cat, a sportswear label where Betsy made use of her signature brights, neons and sexy silhouettes, all to critical acclaim. By the mid-1970s, a cultural shift saw the rise of working professionals on their way to an 80s boom. The yuppie movement had arrived. Betsy's loud statements were muffled by a need for a corporate takeover. Whilst America was suiting up, punk revival was brewing on the streets of London. And once more, Betsy was ready to rock and roll, launching the Betsy Johnson label with a boutique in Manhattan's Soho district. Her streak of music and art-inspired pieces worked across generations, revitalised by the 90s grunge era. Today, this veteran has a global presence and is touching base with the next generation with the latest capsule collection for Urban Outfitters 2019. By the time the late 70s thing swung back to a more relaxed and conservative look with long flowing dresses and elegance taking centre stage, Ralph Lauren became the quintessential American designer, capturing the aspirational lifestyle of America's upper-crust society with his brand of gentrified American staples. Lauren elevated 20th century pieces already in circulation, from chinos, Oxfords and flannelettes, and the brand signature polo shirt under one luxury banner. Lauren hailed from a New York landmark, opening a small studio in the heart of the Empire State Building, his founding line of men's neckties. And it was not long before he expanded into a full range, bringing classic tailoring and masculine silhouettes from the early 1970s to both men and women. During this period, his clothing was spotted in the timeless adaptation of The Great Gatsby, starring Robert Redford. It was a classic American story which culturally placed Lauren further into the heart of the American identity. Beyond its 50th milestone celebrations, the Ralph Lauren brand remains a global go-to for consumers and designers alike, playing with the rules laid out by the brand's founder. Its style has permeated the realms of hip-hop and music moguls, basketball and skateboarding, to world-class soccer stadiums, finding relevance in audience looking for Ralph Lauren's simple sophistication.
Success fun? Oh, sure, it's fun and it's not fun, and as my mother says, it's the price you have to pay.
Where Ralph Lauren represented the Ivy League lifestyle, Roy Halston was America's answer to 70s and 80s glamour. Creating one-of-a-kind headpieces, Halston found himself at the helm of Bergdorf Goodman's millinery department, leading to his brush with American royalty, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, who donned a Halston pillbox hat to JFK's presidential inauguration, and the rest, they say, was history. Soon Hollywood icons beckoned, from Rita Hayworth to Marlene Dietrich. Halston commanded an A-list clientele in the press that followed. But the best was yet to come. From the silver screen to the annals of pop culture, Halston dressed the dance floor of the 1970s discotheques, and that infamous hotspot Studio 54.
I want to get in here. I drove an hour and a half. I got an invitation. I want to be in the hottest spot in town.
I have been here many a nights and I talked to people from all over the world, and their ultimate dream is to get in 54.
Surrounding himself by the artists of a new generation, Andy Warhol, Bianca Jagger and Liz Taylor to name a few, in consideration of his jet-setting followers, Halston worked with durable, easy-to-wear materials like jersey and cashmere that developed into a chic women's wear line that culminated in the fashion's most iconic pieces, from a Halston jumpsuit, shirt dress and caftan to his signature halter dress introduced in 1972. He became the first designer to incorporate himself into the brand's license, Halston, which also became his singular moniker. Halston went from strength to strength professionally, but came unstuck as his personal life spiraled out of control, battling substance abuse and the AIDS disease which would later claim his life. Today, Halston Heritage champions the late designer's legacy with a lifestyle brand that holds up to its founder's vision for modern, effortless designs for edgy women.
I think fashion is very important. I think the important elements are the very simple elements of people going out and buying it, wanting to wear it, wearing it out, looking terrific in it, and other people want to look that way. I mean, there's no magic about fashion. Fashion's made by people, all kinds of different people. But in fact, they have to put their money down And they have to buy it, and it must work for them. And they have to look terrific in it, or nobody wants to look that way. So that is really always what happens in the fashion world, on every level, whether it be cosmetics, whether it be clothing, style points in the home, anything. It is always that.
At the same time, there was an audience for a more overstated form of glamour. It's not often that a costume designer crosses comfortably between red carpet and runway, but Bob Mackie is that exception.
Mr. Mackie designs the gowns for all the big TV stars. Carol Burnett and Margaret Cher.
That's right. You've heard them say clothes make the man. Well, I'm the man that makes the clothes. I'm sure I will.
Bob Mackie's work has captured the attention of Hollywood legends, music diggers, and the Academy with 3 Oscar nominations and 9 Emmy Awards to his name. He's been dubbed the Sultans of Sequins and the Raja of Rhinestones for his brand of high glamour, uses beading, feathers, and sequins to catch the light and pass the star quality around his wearer. Tina Turner to Cher to Diana Ross to Madonna, there are a few greats he hasn't dressed. Started as a sketch artist for Paramount Pictures, and even drew the original sketch, Marilyn Monroe's Illusion Guest, which he wore to the now infamous birthday party for JFK. Mackie was responsible for starting the idea of the naked dress, where flesh is artfully covered in decoration for modesty, while at the same time appearing to be nude. Not surprisingly, he was the most in-demand designer for film and television, with a prolific catalogue of work over his 11 years designing for the Carol Burnett Show.
When Carol did the Gone with the Wind curtain rod dress, that was on the back of a script. I tore off a page and I went, well, we could do this, this, and this. It said, Scarlett takes the drapes off the window, goes upstairs and comes down with the drapes just hanging off of her. Well, that wasn't very funny. And I was trying to think, well, maybe I should make it really into a dress. And I thought, well, no, that isn't funny either. We've seen that. We saw that in the real movie. So actually on Thursday, I called the art director and I said, can you get me a curtain rod and some of that velvet? I want the real curtain rod like you're going to use. And I just made it on a mannequin. And I didn't even put it on her really until the day of the show.
The gown is gorgeous.
Thank you. I saw it in the window and I just couldn't resist it.
I've never heard laughter like that in my life. I mean, people were just, it hit, they all had this sense of what it was in the movie. Everybody had seen that movie and it just made people laugh, and it still does.
By the early 1980s, he turned his skills to ready-to-wear to an eager public and a dubious fashion industry. The tides had well and truly turned with the CFDA community honouring Mackie with the Geoffrey Beene Lifetime Achievement Award in 2019. Named in honour of another great designer from the 1960s, Beene was the first American designer to show in Milan, Italy, opening the gates for American designers to land on one of the world's leading runways.
I've done it all. Why not just go have fun? I can't. That's not who I am. I'm here because, quite honestly, I can't find clothes to wear.
Donna Karan is another great institution when it comes to American fashion, setting the bar for a global influence by bringing uptown New York style to the world. She pioneered the capsule collection and crafted one of the world's biggest diffusion lines, DKNY. She learned from the best, rising through the ranks under another fashion giant, Anne Klein, whose work was responsible for continuing the tailoring success of Coco Chanel by bringing men's tailoring to women's wear, as well as founding the Junior Miss category for the teen fashion market we all know today.
My bosses at the time, Frank Mori and Tomio Taki. Tomio had just bought Anne Klein 6 months before she passed away. So here's a man, amazing man, coming from Japan, investing into Anne Klein, and then Anne Klein passes away, and I'm the only one there. And they anoint me the head. As a 25-year-old girl, that was kind of like a little crazy.
By the 1980s, conservatism was back on the agenda, and a focusing on Wall Street led to an 80s boom in the art of power dressing, where women took on masculine styles to compete in the male-dominated market. For Karan, it was the start of her eponymous label, She left Klein and found her niche servicing the boom of professional women at the time of modern tailoring. Noticing a gap in the market for price point friendly prices, Karen jump-started a diffusion line, DKNY jeans and DKNY for men. In a record deal, Karen signed over the business to luxury group LVMH, staying on as designer until the main line was shut down in 2015 to concentrate on the DKNY ranges. Karen remains a fashion powerhouse and social campaigner, bringing Urban Zen, a socially conscious brand, to the market, being one of the first to drive a portion of her online sales to charitable initiatives.
The beauty of being a woman is our heart. We feel, we see, we have our instincts. We create. We're the creative people, children. Women do make the change. Women are the change makers.
When power dressing dominated the fashion scene, Diane von Furstenberg offered a counterbalance, making it okay to be feminine in a male-dominated world. She remains a strong female icon at the helm of a global fashion empire. Originally from Belgium, Diane's strength can be traced back to the Holocaust survivors she descended from. She moved to New York as the wife of royalty, having married an Austro-Italian prince in the 1960s. Her wrap dresses, which combined a two-piece top and a skirt into one easy-to-wear dress, became a 70s sensation. She sold in the millions and attracted the attention of publications like the Wall Street Journal, cementing herself as both a designer and a businesswoman. She was charismatic, exotic, and a force unlike the world had seen before.
The great thing when you start on your own and you are a founder or you are your own entrepreneur, you have a certain energy and a certain desire and a certain enthusiasm that you have that first wind that you just have to go with the wind and not be afraid. You go for it, and especially at the beginning. When you go for it at the beginning, you have no fear, you have nothing to lose, Less than, 0 less 0 is 0.
On the back of her success, an empire was born, launching a cosmetics line, home, lifestyle stores, and a profitable eyewear range. After stepping back from a hiatus in Paris, Diane took back control of the line and her namesake, reviving the ready-to-wear line with her signature wrap dress for a new generation and naming her daughter as creative director of DVF. Diane remains a constant presence on the fashion scene, championing young talent and even starring in her own reality house of DVF in the search of brand's next-gen ambassadors, ever pioneering the way forward for the fashion industry.
I love walking in Diane's shows. It's one of the most empowering moments. She pumps you up before you go. Be the woman you want to be. Feel beautiful. You are beautiful. And she's an inspiration. So to walk in her show and to feel glamorous and gorgeous is always fun.
It is the essence of what DVF is, which is all I care about is glorify the woman.
The persistence of unisex styles underscores modern fashion today, with the feminine and masculine roles merging into androgyny and even further into completely genderless styles. Today's progression towards gender fluidity, both in sexual orientation and societal roles, has created a brave new world for designers who can dance between the influences of the existing and ancient archetypes, for both commentary and design's sake as their creative freedom wills.
When you're doing something that you love so much, that excites you, it flows over into everything. Everything you do at that moment in time is better because you're so creatively excited that, yeah, you might be exhausted. But if you're working on shoes or you're working on handbags, your brain is clicking. You're absolutely, or I am, absolutely better. So if you're excited in life, you're going to be better at what you're creating.
Tom Ford could have succeeded in any field of his choosing. His creative freedom led him to keep his field of interest wide open, from studying art history through architecture at Parsons in New York. Ford jumped ship, finalising his studies in fashion at his esteemed Parsons Schools for Design in Paris during the 1980s. Ford paid his dues designing for luxury New York houses before landing a life-changing role with Gucci. Gucci Group, who at the time was struggling to stay relevant, saw Ford as a breath of fresh air, skyrocketing Ford from the designer of women's wear to the position of creative director in just 4 short years. Ford revitalised the brand, injecting some much-needed sex appeal with some retro twists for a modern woman. Under his direction, the group acquired Yves Saint Laurent, which became synonymous with Ford's androgynous towering and slim lines.
It's so funny. I've been so quiet about this for so long, and I said it recently in an interview how everyone's picking up on this because I don't like to say bad things about people, but no, Eve and Pierre were not supportive. They were at first until I think the women that sat in the front rows of their shows were sitting in the front rows of my shows, and our sales were doubling and doubling and doubling each season, and then all of a sudden they became not supportive, and they were pretty difficult, but that's okay.
Well, you said evil, I think was the word.
I did say evil, and people keep bringing it up. And I don't mean they were evil people, but they're pretty evil to me. I've got a 4-page letter from Eve. I have 2 of them, handwritten. In one collection you have undone what 40 years of my life went to build. And things like this. But that's okay. I think Eve was one of the great, great designers. I have tremendous respect for him.
In the mid-noughties, Ford broke free to branch out under his own name to much critical acclaim. But what really took the world by surprise was his deft-handed filmmaking, stunning the world with highly stylized masterpieces in single man and later nocturnal elements, and what is turning out to be Ford's most expressive art form to date, as it encapsulates his love of design, style, and storytelling, all under one platform.
What are we gonna do? It's a question of how serious you are about seeing justice done.
Don't do this. You'll regret it.
My name is Marc Jacobs. I'm a fashion designer. What I do is answer questions about fashion, draw sometimes, sit in on fittings, choose fabrics, design bags and shoes, spend a lot of time making corrections, put shows together, travel, walk my dog. That's what I do.
Marc Jacobs was another native New Yorker and Parsons prodigy to make a name for himself, becoming the youngest recipient of the coveted CFDA Perry Ellis Award for New York fashion talent. And Jacobs did not disappoint. After a successful stint at Perry Ellis, it was clear Jacobs was carving his own grunge style apart from the Ellis brand. Launching his own label, the Jacobs cachet continued to grow, landing it at the top as head creative director for Louis Vuitton, a luxury house in the late 90s.
I think of Vuitton, the heritage of this company, and I think when I think of the bags at Vuitton, I think clearly mostly of the monogram canvas. And I think that is really, that what to me that stands for is it may be very luxurious product and it may be a very beautiful bag to carry, but it's also the most recognizable. And so I think this woman wants to be seen, she wants to be noticed, whether it's because of the handbag she's carrying or the coat she's wearing, or all of the above.
A survivor of addiction, Jacobs battled on to the present day, his first ready-to-wear label for the house. Alongside the pressure of running his own eponymous label, Jacobs remained at the helm of Louis Vuitton for well over a decade, passing the reins to focus on more of his own line and collaborations, which still pull in the praise, including taking home an accolade for his trailblazing ways at the recent 2019 MTV Awards.
You gave artists a platform to express their music and ideas through moving image and me a dynamic source of inspiration. I thank you, MTV. I thank you, CFDA. I am beyond flattered and proud to be the first ever recipient of the Fashion Trailblazer Award. Thank you.
Another trailblazer is America's young gun of fashion, Alexander Wang. Of Taiwanese descent, Wang was a child of the 1980s, born and raised in San Francisco, an epicenter for music, rich in culture stemming from its roots in jazz and rock and roll to producing heavy metal giants Metallica and punk rockers Green Day from the melting pot that was the Bay Area. In reflection of this, his hunger and interest in creative pursuits was evident from an early age. Attending a summer program at the esteemed Fashion College, Central St Martin's of London, After graduating from high school, he enrolled in Parsons in New York, keeping one foot in the industry by interning for the world's leading fashion publication, American Vogue, and for his predecessors, Derek Lam and Marc Jacobs. Confident in his craft, Wang dropped out of the design school to begin his career, focusing on cashmere sweaters and launching his label with a knitwear collection. By the fall of 2007, he had dropped his ready-to-wear collection on a New York fashion runway, attracting the attention of the CFDA Fund. The Council of Fashion Designers America is a not-for-profit trade association founded in the 1960s to promote local industry, and together with Vogue magazine, they created the CFDA Awards, an exclusive competition to provide mentorship and exposure for young talent, and importantly provide funds to elevate a small business into a global one. Wang took out the award in 2009 and hasn't looked back. In the next 2 years, the designer launched Women's Tee by Alexander Wang, Men's Tee by Alexander Wang, and the footwear label. He was named Best Menswear Designer by GQ magazine and was picked up as a creative director for Balenciaga for the following 3 years. Today, the designer's unisex aesthetic with its mix of rawness and refinement is reflected in flagships all over the world with his renowned leather goods, cutting-edge designs and on-trend accessories. It's clear from young designers like Alexander Wang that the legacies of the American titans of fashion still hold great impact. Etched into history's archive and ready to influence the next generation of designers who seek to make their own mark on the world of fashion.